So my job is to teach you how to multiply matrices together. And I started with a 2 by 3. And I explained that in class, and I think they're all on that. So if you're just starting the video here, you have to know what rows and columns are. And this is a 2 by 3. Now, if I wanted to multiply that by something, if I just wanted to multiply it by a number, it's super easy. Everything multiplies by 2, done. The end. Don't need to explain that anymore. But I'm trying to teach you how to multiply it by another matrix. Now, you might think that you would want the matrix to be shaped exactly the same. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes you have a matrix that's a 3 by 3 matrix. This is a 2 by 3. And you might have a 3 by 3 matrix, and you still have to be able to multiply it. All right, so let me show you the easiest multiplication we could do here, which would be, we're going to times it by a 3 by 1 matrix. All right, so copy this down. It now has to have 3 rows, but 1 column. Remember, this is rows, this is columns. 3 rows, 1 column. I think you forgot your headphone in the front row here, Ray. Thank you. All right, so this is going to be a 1, 4, 7. Would you agree that that has 3 rows and 1 column? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, the first thing you got to know is that you can't just multiply anything you want. If I wanted to multiply by a 4 by 1, it wouldn't work. If I wanted to multiply by a 3 by 2, it would work. I could multiply by a 3 by 7. It would still work. So how the heck do you decide what works and what doesn't? Pay attention and take good notes. Have you got this all copied yet? Mm-hmm. All right, then the next thing you got to do is this. Put a loop around these two. Those two have to match. I do a lot of tutoring towards the helping kids do well on the ACT. And this is one of the things they test on the ACT. Not every time, but they've had it on multiple ACTs, is can these matrices multiply? And the thing you check for is if the columns on the first one match the rows on the second one, and don't try to memorize all that. Just try to remember that it's the inside ones. If those match, then it will work. If they don't match, nothing you can do will make them multiply. If this was a 2, for example, and it was a 2 by 3, you know, like the same shape as it was in the first place, if it was a 2 by 3, it wouldn't work. So if it was a 2 by 3, it would not work. Why not? Because these numbers wouldn't match. The 3 and the 2, they wouldn't match, and they therefore wouldn't work. All right, so now we have established that it will work because those middle numbers match. So what will the shape be? I like to kind of think of this as like, did you know that you can have a lion and a tiger and you can cross them and get something called a liger? Have you heard of that? It's true. There are some animals you can do that with and there's others that you can't. All right, well, this is like the lion and this is like the tiger, and we're going to make a liger. It's not going to look necessarily like one of the two parents. It might look like something different. So the question is, what does it look like? It is not a 3 by 3. That's a good guess, but it's not. Anybody want to take another shot? It's not a 3 by 3 matrix, and it's not a 2 by 3 matrix, and it's not a 3 by 1 matrix. Man, these are complicated. Yeah, that's why I'm asking you to take good notes. It's going to be, last chance for guesses.
4 by 2.
No, not a 4 by 2. Good guess. Anybody else? What? Say it louder. Be bold.
2 by 4.
Oh, close. Nope, you had the first part right. It's a 2 by 1. The outside numbers tell you what it's going to be. Okay, so what is this thing shaped like? It's shaped like a 2 by 1. So what I would do now is make bubbles for where you're going to put the numbers. Like if it was going to be a 3 by 1, I would have made 3 by 1 bubbles, and then I'd put the answers in the bubbles. So what shape is this thing? It's a 2 by 1, 2 rows and 1 column. So it's like there's 2 bubbles. in a matrix. Please, trust me, done a lot of these. This will work. So now we've established that we need a 2x1 matrix for our answer. Next thing is, you gotta know their names. That spot, that's row 1, column 1. That spot, that's not row 1, column 1. What is that?
Row 2.
Row 2, column 1. Good. Now that I know their names, I can now get the answers for what actually goes in there. Well, big surprise, the whole thing is called multiplying matrices. There is multiplying involved, but it's more complicated than just multiply the numbers. All right, have we established that that spot is wanting row 1 and column 1? Then you need to know which of these two matrices is the row matrix, a whole matrix full of rows, and which one is the column matrix. So the first one that you have, just like the same pattern, rows, then columns, like remote control, RC. This is the row matrix, and this one is the column matrix. And when it says, I want you to take row 1 from the first one and column 1 from the second one and multiply them together, I want you to highlight that. Here's row 1 and here's column 1. Now we're going to remove the highlighting in a second, but I want you to highlight them for right now. Are you caught up? We got to this point? Copy this all down and highlight those two spots like I just told you to.
Yeah.
All right, those 6 numbers that I just highlighted are going to have to get multiplied and put in that little egg, that little empty bubble. I want you to just take a guess because this is intuitive. It will make sense to somebody. What do you think you do with the 3? Multiply by the 1. And that's because it's this and this get multiplied. And then what do you think we should do? Multiply the 1 and the 4. Then what do you think we should do? Multiply the 7 and the 7. And then what do you think we should do with all these multiplied numbers? Add them all up. Very good. See how that kind of makes sense? Like sort of instinctually you would, I hope, know to multiply the 3 times the 1, the 1 times the 4, and the 7 times the 7. All right, so 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 4 is 4. So that's a total of 7 so far. And then 7 times 7 is 49. And so I'll write it out for you over here. It was 3 times 1 plus 1 times 4 plus 7 times 7. That's going to be 49. Anybody beat me to it? 54? Dang it. 7. Yep, sorry. All right, 49 plus 7, 56. You are correct. Nice job. 56. Woo! That's heavy duty. This is one of those things that I have seen on the ACT a lot. Well worth learning this one. And you're just had your first one. Totally get you're not a master of this yet, but you'll probably have this down by the time we take the test. It isn't that bad. All right, so let's attack this one now. Row 2, column 1. Well, we're going to take this row here. And there is only one column over here. It's this. And now the first one goes with the first one. So 1 times 1, 2 times 4, negative 7 times 7. Add them all up. Take a second. Write your answer in and compare with the kid next to you. I'm going to pause while you do that. All right, so since we needed row 2 and column 1, those are the ones I circled in black here. Then it's 1 times 1 is 1, plus 2 times 4 is 8, plus 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. I get how that's weird because it's plus or minus, but I think you get that we're going to subtract the 7 from this 9 here. And we get 2. Raise your hand if you had 2. Okay, awesome. The answer to that was 56 over 2. That is as hard as they ever get. Because it was a weird-shaped one times a weird-shaped one that came out to an even different shaped one. That is as hard as they can get. So now let me give you an easy one. Let's see if you've got this. 3125 times 12. First of all, you got to figure out if it's going to work. Honestly, sometimes the answer is no solution. Hope you figure that out, because when you get to pre-calc, I swear, like half of the hard questions in pre-calc, the answer comes out to no solutions. Would you agree this is a 2 by 2? Be careful on this next one. Would you agree this is a 1 by 2? So it doesn't have 2 columns, does it? All right, so it must be a 2 by 1. And therefore, how do you know for sure it works? These are the same. And your outside one is a 2 by 1, which is kind of cool because you have an example of a 2 by 1 sitting right there. It's the red one. It's going to look like that. Do you get that sometimes when you have 2 parents, you look like one of them? Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't look like either one. All right. I like to put empty eggs there just to remind me how many answers I'm looking for. Those are not required by law. And let's see if you can finish this off. You like 2 numbers. If you're stuck on what the next step is, you go, this is row 1 and column 1, and that reminds you which ones to grab from the row matrix and the column matrix. I'm pausing.
3 times 1 and 4 times 2. Yeah, those. And do 2 times 1 and 5 times 2.
For that one, row 1 would be this row, with column 1 is that column. So it'd be 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 times 2 is 2, 3 plus 2 is 5. Right? And then what was the other number? Save me some time. 512. All right. Next question. I'm gonna change. It's still the same topic, but I'm gonna change how we ask it. Matrix A is a 3 by 2 matrix. Matrix B is a 2 by 1 matrix. Matrix C is a 1 by 3 matrix. Careful. What can be multiplied? And don't just say like A and C. You got to tell me exactly what can be multiplied. I'm going to pause. So I hope you realize at first blush, you just look at these two and you're like, well, those can be multiplied. So A times B is the correct answer. But what else is there? B times C can be multiplied? Oh, but what else is there? This is important. Notice he said C times A. If he had said A times C, he would have been wrong. Because look, that 2 and that 1 wouldn't match. But if you rearrange it and you put the C in front, C times A is also going to work. Because then C is a 1 by 3 and A is 3 by 2. And look, they match. All right. That was a little tricky, but you pulled it off. Nice job. Any questions so far? All right, that's multiplying matrices. That's it. Now, you have a worksheet with odds. Now, you could also ask me questions about yesterday, and I'd love to get your tests back to you, but the reality is they were sitting in this locked school building. I tried one time when I had this situation come up where my tests were at school. I came in on a Sunday, drove all the way here, and then it was locked, and I couldn't get in anywhere. And then I texted the guy in charge, and he's like, yeah, if you try to get in, it's going to set off the alarm. So I'm like, dang it. Okay, so So bottom line, I didn't even try this time to come and get your tests because I know that sometimes it just isn't open. So I've got your tests now, but there's no way I'm going to get them back to you today. My dream world is that I get them back to you tomorrow. And I'm curious. I'd love to just see your perspective. You either got done with that test and felt like it was easy or medium or hard. And I'm curious. I think we prepared you well enough, but I have no idea what you're going to say. If 5 is like, yeah, I think I did really well. I think I probably got an A. And 1 is, yeah, I'm going to be retaking that one on the cumulative. Would you please give me a scale between 1 is it sucked and 5 was it was easy? Give me a number. All right. I'm just averaging those, and it was probably a 3.5 or a 4. Thank you very much for your honesty. So, sounds like that's pretty normal. There's a few of you that thought it was hard, I could tell, and there's quite a few that thought it was not too bad. All right. I should get those results to you again tomorrow. All right. Let's get the first problem done off the homework just to make sure there's nothing I missed, at least at the very beginning of the homework. That's a good question. We're doing the odds, just the odd ones, like 1, 3, 5, 7. All right. Zeke, would you read me number 1, please? I know they're matrices. They can be tricky to read. As you read them across a row, like from left to right, and then go down a notch. Like that? Okay, good. And then what are we doing with it? By what? Like that? Excellent. Okay. So if we're just going to multiply those puppies, it's a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2, and then it works because these match and it's a 2 by 2 answer. That's easy. So it's a 2 by 2. So if I were you, I would make my little bubbles in a 2 by 2 matrix, and then I would put in what they are. This is row 1, column 1. So I would do that with, just to show you, I wouldn't actually do this on my real paper, but I would go, here's row 1, and here's column 1. And then I go 6 times 0 is 0. 2 times 3 is 6. Add them together and I get 6. Are we on the right track? Did you guys get 6 too? All right, good. Okay, so got a bunch of time. I'm sure there'll be something tricky in there. There's a kid right next to you who's pretty smart. Check with them first. In some cases, there's exceptions. But anyway, if you have questions, you can come up and ask me. I want to help you. All right, that's all I got for you.